Hello and assalamu alaikum, guys. This is Mevishir. Guys, like always, I am back with another podcast and another inspiring story. Guys, before we dive into our conversation and before I bring in my special guest, I want you to just understand one little thing before we start this conversation. And that is, we as humans are all flawed. Period. We as humans are all flawed. And that means that we are going to mess up. We are imperfect. And what we have to do from this is to not look outside, but look inside and find where are we wrong? Where do I need to work on me to bring the better version of me outside? When we shift the focus from the outside to the inside, it humbles us, it teaches us, and more, it helps us transform ourselves into the best versions of us. Guys, on that note, I'm going to bring in my very special guest, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation on her journey through emotional abuse, through narcissism. I'm super excited, and without any further delay, let me bring her in. And I can already see that she's in the and just connecting with her. Just give her a few seconds, and there she is.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I am very well. So before we dive
Good.
into our conversation, just a little quick introduction for the audience, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then we'll start in.
Of course. Well, my name's Jade. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been living in Egypt for the past 10 years. I am a relationship mentor along with a life coach. So I actually help women who have been through narcissistic relationships, mainly with Egyptian and Middle Eastern men, because they are quite particular. And I help women transform their pain into their power through going from surviving to thriving, all through the different programs that I offer.
Right. So tell me first, Jade, what made you move from UK to Egypt?
Well, this is quite an interesting story, and if you haven't been in my place, it's really hard for different people to understand. So I just came here on holiday, and as soon as my foot hit the ground, I felt like I was at home. That's the only way I can describe it. So I actually came in 2007 for a holiday with my family, and yeah, I visited 13 times after that, and then I actually
You just
met
like the
an
place, right? It
yeah,
connected with you.
absolutely loved it. Like every single time I came on holiday, I would always look to the sea and look to the moon before I'd leave, and I'd be like, please just bring me back. Please bring me back.
Okay.
And then it was always less than 6 months when I was back. So yeah, and then it was on my eighth visit that I actually met an Egyptian, which I was later in a relationship with for 8 years.
Wow, wow. So let's speak
So
about that. How you met him, how did it all start off, and what all happened?
well, I was actually, like I say, on holiday. He was working in the hotel at the time. I'd only met Egyptians through coming on holiday. I didn't really understand the culture here. I didn't really understand religion at the time. And I just felt at the time I had an instant connection with him. That was exactly how it felt. And like I say, I always wanted to live here, but I felt like I needed a solid reason.
Mm.
When I met him, I thought, okay, I'll just see how it goes. So I kept coming over to see him, and everything was tying up in the UK at the time. Like every time I was coming, my work was like, well, you can't keep having vacation all the time. And I was like, right. And there was like, if you take one more, you're going to lose your job. And I was like, I need to stay here. I'm 19. Let's just go and have fun. So that was what I did. And then 2 years later, and then everything just all the small little things kept coming up over time, and then I got to the point where I'd lost all my confidence because of everything that I'd been going through, and everything got very, very complicated. And then 3 years ago, I actually decided to leave. So, yeah, so I've been out of my marriage now for 3 years. Still had problems through the 3 years after I've left him, but I'm still standing. And I know so many other women that really, really struggle with it, especially when you're moving from your home country to a country that you don't know. It's actually quite scary, and Egypt is very much a man's world. So if you don't really understand how life is and the way of stuff here, it can be really, really isolating. So this is
Mm.
another reason why I do the work that I do, because
Mm.
there's a lot of support that I give on different support groups on Facebook as well. And there's so many women here that just struggle in silence. They're just tucked away in his hometown somewhere. Most of them, like some people, some women, they don't even know that they're there, they're just tucked away, quiet in a small village. And it's really hard for some women.
Interesting. So I know that you said in the beginning that when you were coming on vacation, it was different. You were not really accustomed to the religion and the culture. Speak more about that. How did this man show up in the beginning versus to how it changed when you were in a relationship with him?
At the beginning, this is the thing here in Egypt, like everything's very much based on pride and what you look like. And the men, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them, they can sell themselves. So,
What do you
and they're
mean by
very,
pride? Like their name, their background,
yeah,
where they come
everything,
from?
yeah,
Yeah.
everything here is based as example. So if I said to a guy, oh, where are you from? They'll say, oh, I'm from Cairo.
Okay.
Okay, where in Cairo? Because you have places like Zamalek and Maadi, which are very, very high class. And then you have really, really local class places, or even just small villages outside that are very local. So there you've got two different types of mentalities.
Mm,
The same
mm,
as if they said Alexandria, well, where in Alexandria are you from? So all of
mm,
them, it has so much to do with things. Whereas at the time, I didn't know that. If you said, oh, I'm from Cairo, I'm from Cairo. It's like if someone
mm,
said, oh, I'm from London, oh, I'm from London. You wouldn't think anything of it because the social classes in the UK are not as extreme as they are here. Here, they're very
mm.
extreme.
Yeah.
So, because us as foreigners aren't aware of that, they go
Mm,
through the whole love bombing stage of saying how amazing they are, how they're so prepared in life financially and they can
mm,
provide you with this amazing dream. And then it's like when you actually come here, you actually get to see the true them, the fact that I can be honest, my ex-husband was just like a child that just wanted to enjoy his life. He didn't want any attachments. And it was
mm,
becoming more and more clear when I was with him that I was more of a hindrance than anything else.
mm.
Because this
Interesting.
is this is the thing sometimes when the foreigners come over, unfortunately, sometimes they'll lose their mind a little bit and they'll think, oh, I'm on holiday, I'm just going to enjoy, I'll just spend the money, and then they go. But when they actually stay, like I did, it becomes a bit of a there's a shift that happens because it's like,
Mm,
oh my God, she's actually here to stay. I actually have to
mm,
play the role of being a
mm,
husband, being a boyfriend, and that's sometimes a struggle for them.
Absolutely. I totally understand where you're coming from. So tell me, how was your initial love bombing stage? Talk about that.
Oh, it was just how much of an amazing life he would provide me, everything that we do in Egypt, all the traveling, um, again, how we'd be able to earn money, have a house, have children together, how I'd be able to get an amazing job here, how life would be just so easy, how
Mm,
he'd treat me like a princess. Like there was all of these things.
mm,
Um, yeah. And I was just, because I knew that I wanted to be in Egypt, it was just like, yeah, it all made sense. It was all going in the right direction. Like I needed to be here. So I just
mm,
followed the signs. And if anyone knows me, they would know that I'm a very homely person. I absolutely hate change. So the fact that I was leaving the UK and moving to Egypt, that was like a huge, what the hell is she doing? But I just
mm.
followed my heart and soul. And this is where I've ended up.
Right. So how long were you together before you tied the knot and got married?
Uh, oh. A year and 4 months.
So a year and 4 months, everything was nice. It was love bombing. It was all he's showing you you're the princess. We have this perfect life. When now you look back, do you think that you had any red flags
Oh, yes.
in the love bombing stage?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's so hard because I'd left everything in the
Yes.
UK.
Mm.
I'd left everything in the UK, and I was like, everyone's going to think that I'm a failure because I've left everything in the UK and this hasn't worked out. And I was like, oh my
Right.
God. And then I just thought, no, he does have a good side to him. Like, these small little things are just coming up a few times. Like, mostly he's fine, when actually he was awful most of the time, to be honest. And he
Mm.
wasn't there as he should have been emotionally,
Mhm.
as a partner or husband should be, you know?
Right, right. So if you were right now with the awareness, the understanding, and all that you've been through, right now, if you could go back to yourself in those stages, what would you say to yourself then?
Oh,
Hey,
wow, that
Jade.
is such a good question. That is such a good question. I love that. I would actually say, Jade, wake up. You deserve so much better than that. You're an
Mm,
amazing person and you don't actually see who you are. Because I never did,
mm,
never.
mm, mm,
So, and I've realized I've been doing a lot more work on myself recently. And because of the work I do anyway, it's really down with the inner child work and focusing on the child that you once was. And because I've really looked into it so much, I actually understand why I never saw myself, because, especially from my father's point of view, he never saw me. So I never had a masculine role in my life that saw me for who I was. So
mm.
if my father couldn't look at me like that, how could I expect anyone else to
Right.
see me like that, until I did the work on myself to actually know my worth as well?
Yes, yes,
So yeah,
yes.
that would be my answer to that question.
Absolutely. And it all always comes down to us lacking to see our worth, you know. A
Yeah,
self-value is something else and self-worth is something else. You know the value of something, but the worth is like more deeper, detailed thing, right? So I always tell people that know your value, but your value is going to come from knowing your worth, knowing where did you get that disconnect? Where did that disconnect come from? Where
yeah,
you started to think that you were not worthy of something? Because, you know, when we come into this world, we don't come as babies feeling that we're not worthy or we're not enough. We come as whole beings.
yes,
But then life happens, and things and environment and so many things we absorb as sponges,
yeah,
that kind of change the narrative around
definitely.
the worthness going towards the unworthiness and stuff like that. Great, wonderful, Jade. So now tell me, 1.5 year you were together, it was love bombing and all, if you were unable to see the red flags, no shame in that, we've all been through that stage. Now you're married, what happens? Do the things change the next day when you wake up? Because I know the culture, you know, it's quite similar to mine. I'm from Pakistan, so that's why I'm trying to like really wrap around how much similarities we have. So was it like the next day when he woke up and now he's your husband, he set in some things like, oh, you can't dress like that, you can't talk like that stuff? Or was it very subtle, in a subtle way that he threw that towards you, or even if it happened or not?
Yeah, everything was very subtle.
Mm,
To be honest, most of those things were done even before marriage. But
okay.
because, as example, like with the dressing, so I actually understood it that it was from a caring point, because he wouldn't say it. He'd always, as example, say, "Oh, Jade, would you mind covering? Because that's a special part that's only belonging to me."
Mm,
So I'd really appreciate if other men wouldn't see that, which I
mm,
got on a level,
mm,
but
mm,
still, after like, I thought it was because he was like, he loved me because he was saying that, so I didn't
mm,
see anything bad in it. But then afterwards, it was becoming more and more and more to the fact that sometimes I was just covered to here, and I didn't feel right in actually exposing any part of my body. So
mm,
yeah, a lot of things just come very, very subtle. And
mm,
then after we got married, it was like, right, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in Egypt or do you want to move back to the UK? we decided that we'd stay here. So we worked really hard in order to buy a property here together. But because we had to live apart during that, because we were saving quite a lot of money, that caused a lot of distance between us as well. So, so it was quite difficult on every single angle.
Right, right. So tell me, just want to just try to understand more. When you were in Egypt, just want to understand for the audience and myself, did all women dress like the Muslim, because it's a Muslim country, it's an Islamic country. Were the women all dressed up, like were they all covered, or was there diversity in the culture? What kind of culture did you come across, or were there more covered women and there was no like showing off skin and stuff like that?
No, here, right. Basically, here in Egypt, there's many places that are very local, and there's a few tourism destinations. So I'm actually
Okay,
based in one of the largest tourism destinations here called Sharm el Sheikh. So it is a
okay,
very diverse city. So most of the Egyptians, when they actually come to Sharm, because it's so westernized, a lot of them actually don't cover. You
okay.
do get certain areas that are more local than others. So in these parts, I tend to anyway just cover a little bit more than if I was to go to the beach or something like that, as example, or if I was to go in a hotel, because you'll find that most of the staff in the hotel are very westernized. So the fact you're going around in a bikini or a caftan, they're not staring at you like, oh my God.
Right.
Whereas if you're to go to Cairo or Alexandria, for example, this is also where the certain areas come in, because if you go to a very high class area, you have high class Egyptians that are walking around like foreigners. They will have their
Okay.
hair out, they will wear vests, they will wear tight clothing. If you're in an area like that, yes, you can get away with it. But the majority of Cairo and Alexandria, there are people covered. And especially because I have blonde hair, they'll see that I'm a foreigner. Most people haven't traveled outside their country, so they don't see foreigners a lot.
Mm.
So people also stare at you because you're a foreigner, and it's like you're an alien at some points.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it's a bit of both, you know, like even
Yeah, I totally understand.
when I went to Alexandria, because that was where my ex-husband was from, I actually had brown hair at the time. So,
Okay.
and I was covered. I didn't have my hair covered, and some people actually thought I was Egyptian, but because I've got blue eyes, it stood out that I was a foreigner straight away. So then
Mm.
I would get a lot of unwanted attention, but that wasn't because of what I was dressed, how I was dressed. Like that's the one thing that does slightly annoy me here, is that I can be completely covered, but because I don't have a headscarf around my head, sometimes they think it's okay to stare at me. Whereas there could be a Egyptian Christian walking next to me that has really tight clothing on, and they don't batter an eyelid, they don't care.
Hmm.
So it's like sometimes it's part of like the culture and the upbringing as well.
Yes,
It's
yes,
all
definitely the
everything you
culture
have to,
influence.
yeah,
Mm.
sometimes you have to
Mm.
take everything into consideration. So,
Mm.
but you learn as you
Absolutely.
go by.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, so we spoke about one thing, that was the dressing. What else did he throw at you? Did he use religion as a tool? Did he use anything else as a tool to control you, to manipulate you? I'm sure now you've been living there, you're well aware of Islam and the religion and the rights and the wrongs, so you can speak on it openly.
Yeah, the other thing was about the dressing. He'd say that that was his piece for him to see, and he'd always describe it as a lot of them do here. They'd say, if you was to look at a lollipop on the floor and one had a cover and one didn't, which one would you pick up? So I'd say, of course, the one with the cover because it's not
Mm,
dirty. And he said,
mm,
that's exactly how we like our women.
mm,
So I was like, right, okay. So it was always in the eyes of Islam that he was doing things like this.
mm.
Um, a lot of them also say that you have to convert to Islam in order to get married. That's very, very common. That didn't come against me though, but it is very common in some of the women that I speak to. Um, which other ways did he try? I'm trying to think now. My mind's gone blank.
That's all
Um,
right.
but there is a lot in regards to and then obviously staying at home. That's another
Okay.
thing that, like, you're precious to me. I don't want you to go out in all these bad places like nightclubs and things like this because
mm,
this is not a good place for you. It's best that you just stay at home.
mm,
And because again, it's like, I don't want anyone else to see you. And it's
mm,
like, yeah, but you're manipulating the fact of why a woman is staying at home. It's not
mm,
actually religion based at all. It's just how you've been brought up. Because
mm,
here it's very normal, especially in local areas, for the women to stay at home. It's very, very normal like that. Whereas it's like, hang on a minute, I'm a foreigner. Don't
mm,
don't think that you can treat me the same. I've come from a very like privileged background. I've
mm,
traveled. I understand a lot more.
mm.
Um, so yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha.
can't think
So
of
it's really interesting that because before you guys were married, he knew you were a foreigner and you knew he was a Muslim. And one of the things that I think where not just saying towards you, but in general, I see in relationships is we think and we assume we know the other person, but we don't. We need to be, instead of assuming that okay, I'm a Muslim and Jade will understand where I'm coming from because I'm a Muslim, why won't I just step out of my head and say, hey Jade, I'm a Muslim and this is I can't do. So here's where I draw the line. And you could say, hey Mavish, I'm a foreigner and this is what I do because I'm a foreigner, or I'm this or I'm that. So instead of, I think most of the times we get in our heads and we think that the other person understands because they've been coming to Egypt, they've been visiting Egypt, they know the culture, they know everything. Yeah, they know it, but they don't practice it, right? You were not going there turning into a Muslim, converting, or dressing up like a Muslim woman, projecting yourself like you were part of it. He knew when he approached you that you were a foreigner, and foreigners' lifestyle background are different culturally in every way. So why did he not speak about his concerns before he got you in the relationship? But no, that's what they do. They trap you, and when you're in, they then that's manipulation, and that's like abusing the other person. Because if these were your boundaries, if this is what you were looking for in a woman, then you should have said that to her before uh love bombing her and making her your wife. You should have said that, hey, I love you, I want to be with you, I want to spend my whole life with you, but these are my requirements as a wife. Are you willing to fulfill them? Because I know you're a foreigner. And you had said, yes, I love you, I'm all in, or no, I can't do that, there are certain lines I cannot cross. So let's call it quits, let's act like adult mature people and just be friends. But that lacks so much. And sometimes, Jade, I think, and that having an open communication is so important. Just because I know you, even as friends, just because I know you is no, there shouldn't be a guarantee that that you can assume things, right? So be open and say it. It's in your head, just say it out loud. Hey Jade, you're my friend, I don't want to do this, what do you think? What's the big deal? The lack of a communication, I think, is causing the toxic behaviors to come up more. And with the pandemic, we've seen the rise in toxicities and emotional abuse go up because there is so much of assumption. You're my wife, you're my friend, you're my this. So you just assume that you want that. Well, when you never put it on the table for conversation to see whether it works for me or not. So I want you to, before we move forward with your story, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm making sense? What do you want to add to it?
definitely, definitely. There's loads of points I'm going to try and remember. Um,
Right.
I 1000% agree with you in regards to communication. 1000%. I think it's something that so many women don't understand the importance of it, and so many women don't understand their worth to be
Hmm.
actually to be able to say something. And I think that's really, really important. Um,
Hmm.
if you want something in your life, you need to ask for it. You can't keep taking all the breadcrumbs because you deserve more than that. And so many women do. Another huge thing here is, like I said to you before, it is a man's world. And as we know, everyone grows up thinking that's what's happened in their family is normal. Here in
Mm,
Egypt, most of the marriages are not based on love, they're
mm,
based on an arrangement because mummy
mm.
and daddy said that that's a good girl or that's a good guy for you to marry. That's it. 6 months down the line or 9 months down the line, the baby's already arrived. There's no communication. It's just all
Intimacy,
an
and that's it.
arrangement. It's just all an arrangement, you know.
Arrangement,
There's
right?
no depth to anything, and here the husband is providing a lot. So because the husband's providing sometimes everything, the women
Mm.
believe that they have to just shut up and
Suck it
take
up.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
if these men have seen their mum and dad do that and all their family do that, they actually think that's okay.
That's called generational trauma, right? It's the behaviors that we adapt to and think that they're the right ways of uh, living in relationships. That's really interesting because you see, same here with me. I'm from Pakistan, and it's the same thing. It's like really dismantling the culture and really asking. I had to really ask myself: is this my belief? Or is it a cultural belief
Yeah.
that I was bought into? Because now I'm a woman, I'm a mature woman, and now there's a conflict between the real me and the conditioned me. So which one do I want to embrace? Well, the conditioned me is no longer happy, so I'm going to take the true me and see how that goes. And it's been pretty phenomenal for me. So yes, it is. And you see, the thing is that not only that, same in my culture, men are supposed to take responsibility to bring in, to feed the women, to provide. They stay home, they enjoy the luxurious life, they get the servants, and they take care of the kids, and blah blah blah. That is great if it works out. But the thing is, when one side uses it to abuse you, to manipulate you, to control you, to put you down, then it's going to fall apart. And I've seen that in my culture, that men have done that for decades, and women have lived with it for decades because women saw their mothers and their grandmothers do that they thought this is the right way. But men also have seen that they could use the power and authority because they have the
Yeah.
control, the financial control. So financial abuse has gone really high because of that. And now women are awakening, and they're going to stand on their feet and become something, because they're not going to deal with this shit. You cannot abuse me because you think I can't work, or I don't have the ability to go out and work. So it all, like you said, it all comes down to knowing your worth. Okay, I'm not going to work, but if I have to, I will, and I will stand on my feet, and I won't need you. And it's uncomfortable for some men because now we're poking on their ego, where you've been poking on our egos for years, telling us to like become your slaves, and not question how you treat us. If you provide for us, that is your right to do. If you see the dynamics of faith, and let's talk about Islam, you know so about it. If you're talking about Islam and you are a Muslim and you're married to a Muslim woman, that is your right. That's your wife's right. You cannot get up and throw it on her face. She takes care of her house, she takes care of the kids, she takes care of your food, she takes care of everything. So she's not sitting at home doing nothing. She is standing on her feet non-stop, providing. So there has to be, I think we have to come to a place where, because, you know, you and I can have this conversation, but we can't fit everything in one box, because every situation, every relationship, every person is unique, and they have to find their perfect or their dynamic of how their relationships are going to work. So for me, I think that we need to find a balance where, if you're going to go out and work and I'm going to stay home, where are we going to find that equality and that level of balance in the relationship where you don't abuse me, and vice versa? If both are working, how are we going to find the balance? Because financial abuse has become such a big thing, and like you're saying, It's well, it's not like that in Pakistan. Like everybody's getting arranged marriages, love marriages happen all the time. It's more liberal, more diverse in that way. But from the culture you're talking about, seems like, you get married to a person you don't even know. 9 months down, you have a kid, and it's a lot of responsibility. You have to understand, having kids is not going to make the marriage work if there is nothing holding the marriage together. Kid is not going to hold a marriage together. Let's be clear, kids do not hold marriages together. You bring in kids thinking that they're going to hold marriages together, you just mess up another human being in your messiness. So don't think that kids are going to hold marriages. I think that has been so wrong at so many levels, because people have been brought up with this belief: oh, go have a kid, go have another kid, go try for a son. Everything will get okay when you have a son. And it doesn't. You just mess up another life
Yeah.
because you didn't actually address the core reason. And the core reason was you both were not getting along. You were not meant to be getting along. And now what happens is when kids grow up, they go back into their lives. There is no marriage now, He's in his room, you're in your room, and whatever, stuff like that. So, what's your take on that? Somebody's writing something as well here.
No, definitely, I completely agree. And I've actually, my mum and dad also actually had problems in their marriage as well.
Mm.
So, and I think there's such a big stigma around people staying together because of the children.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think a lot
Mm.
of women really need to understand that you're teaching your daughters how a man should treat them.
Mm.
And you're basically, because you're allowing the treatment from your husband, that's what you're teaching your daughter. And I think
Mm.
that's really, really important, especially if you don't want your daughter to go through something like that, is by taking a stand and being like, no, if I'm not going to accept it, I'm not going to allow my daughter to accept it. And I know that sounds really scary, but it's a step that most women need to take.
Yes, absolutely. I have a daughter, and one of the things I did for myself was wake up one day and ask myself, do I want my daughter to live the same cycle and just stay in a marriage because even if she's unhappy, just stay in the marriage because of the kid's sake? No. And not just that I have a son, I also looked at my son and thought about it. Is he going to treat women like that? Because he's going to
Exactly.
see the home environment, and that's okay. Oh, this is the way it is because this is what I was brought up in. And I said, no freaking way. This is going to end with me, and I'll walk through the fire so my kids know their worth and know where they have to draw the lines, where the boundaries are. And kids are not going to hold marriages. Kids are not tools that you can take out of reproduction to keep the marriage going. You have to work on the main problem. The main problem is the husband and wife have a clash, a friction. The wife has had growth. The husband is still where he was when they met at first. Whatever the issues are, I'm just throwing their examples.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and and get to the core of your problems, not reproducing and thinking the reproduction is and eventually going to bring you that bond. And Jay, there is something really interesting. I want you to tell me, give me your feedback. In our culture, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and they say that there was a saying that you suck it up for 20 years, 30 years, and then eventually when the men age, they mellow down, they become nicer, they become good husbands and stuff like that. And I've seen millions of examples of that actually happening. Okay, but for me, why am I going to go through that hell of 20, 30 years feeling worthless, teaching my children to take on that behavior, and then one fine day my husband wakes up and says, okay, today I'm going to, calm down. My wife has given 30 years of her life taking my bullshit, and now I'm going to treat her like a princess. First of all, it's not worth it. I don't think so, not in my eyes. But I want you to shed some light. Is it same at your part of the world, like in Egypt? Do people do the same thing or no? The same
The thing
mindset, I
is,
mean.
no, the thing is here, it's the women and themselves are viewed completely differently. Here, if you're a divorcee, it's very hard for you to get remarried again.
Uh,
If some women and this sounds really horrible, but in the more local areas, once they're married, they leave the family home. So that's it. The family's like, that's it, off you go. And it's very, very hard for her to come back into the family house again. So if she's not coming back into the family house, how is she going to be supported? Her husband supported her all along. You
Mm,
know, a lot of
mm,
these women here, they're not educated in the
mm,
very local areas. I'm talking about, because now, unfortunately, because of COVID, there is a lot more of the lower class now in Egypt. Before, they used to be lower, middle, and high. Now it's very much the middle is very, very small now, very
that's it.
small. The lower one, sorry, that's how it is. So it's very,
Mm,
very hard. And also, Islamically, there is a dowry on the marriage. So
mm,
obviously here, if the woman wants to leave the husband, she loses her house and she loses her dowry. The dowry
mm,
itself sometimes is quite a big investment. So if they're
mm,
losing all that money, what are they going to be left with? They're going to be left with nothing. Because
mm,
unfortunately, most of the women here, they're not left empowered. You
mm,
know, they're
mm,
literally, they're not left with money, they're not left with anything. So
mm,
there's so many different things to contribute here, which makes it even harder.
mm.
And that's why
It's
they think,
really,
do you know what? I just need to keep working at it. Hopefully he'll change because no
mm,
other man's going to have me. Like, there's some women that, or even just the fact that they're not a virgin.
mm,
Some women, some men will refuse to take on another woman because they're not a virgin. And
mm,
it's these small limit, like all these limiting beliefs that just add
mm,
up, and it
mm,
really disempowers the women here, and it
mm,
keeps them locked into a place that they
mm,
don't deserve to be. And
mm,
this is sometimes then put across to the
mm,
foreigners because, like
mm,
I said, that's what they've lived their whole life seeing their mum and dad do. So then they think, no, she's going to come, she'll just live and stay at home, look after the house exactly like my mum and my sisters do.
mm,
You
mm,
know, and they think that
mm,
they can try and portray the same because, again, it's like an ego place that, yeah, I will
mm.
look after them but also I've also discovered that it's also a lack of it's insecurity on their part and lack of
Absolutely.
worth for their part.
Mm,
And
mm,
when they see us foreigners and they actually see how independent and strong we can be, that really, really intimidates them.
mm,
So they're trying their best to dampen them down so much. And
mm,
this is where also a lot of the manipulation and the emotional and mental abuse comes in because they will
mm,
not have a woman to be more powerful than men. Some of them are like that. Other men, I feel like quite bad because I'm talking about the majority when I know that there is a minority of Egyptian men that are absolutely fantastic. They're absolutely amazing. And I don't want people thinking that what I'm saying is against all Egyptian men because it's not. I've lived here long enough to know that there is good and bad with everything. It's just
mm.
unfortunate that it is more of the lower class guys that do cause these problems with foreigners.
Yes, yes. It's the lower class everywhere, not causing it with foreigners, even with their own people. There is this lack of understanding, and there is so much of illiteracy amongst people that the the real understanding of faith has been missed. In Islam, women were the first in Islam who got security, who were empowered and who were set secure. They are
Yeah,
supposed to be given a portion from their father's inheritance. So if they are given that, and if they are taught really before they're married, this is yours, you're not supposed to give it to your husband and not supposed to give it to your sons or your daughters, this is yours, keep it to yourself. So if they know that they have their peace, if the marriage doesn't work out, and if the father or the brother don't let the girl come back home, she has that peace for
yeah,
herself. But because of this patriarchal culture where men want to control you and don't want you to be empowered because they feel threatened, right? A powerful man who knows where he's coming from never will feel weak or feel that he's not worthy in front of an empowered woman, you know. And but sadly it's their own insecurities. Oh, she has to stay home, she goes out. Like, hello, we are not kids, we are adults, we can take care of ourselves, really. But we, because of heavy patriarchal culture influence,
yes,
it's hard to really step out. I really want you to talk about women's mindset, because I know in my culture, I've met tons of women who, yes, agree to what I have to say in this space, but who totally disagree because of heavy brainwashing, and that women have to go through abuse, whether it's just emotional, whether it's just psychological, or whether if it's even physical. And the mindset is, we went through this, so can you, or so should you. So there's that justification, because I went through the hell, you can go through the hell. And if now you are choosing not to walk through that hell, let's take out physical abuse, let's talk about emotional for right now. So I walked through that emotional abuse, and it was worth it, because look at where I am today. And now I say, no, hell no, I'm not going to. They feel threatened, because now their whole existence is unconsciously being questioned through my taking a step, because now it's invalidating that what you did was not right, although I'm not doing that. But they're feeling threatened because now I'm standing up against the abuse. I'm talking about how wrong it is. This is not faith. Forget about everything. Faith does not teach me this. My religion does not teach me this. My religion says, you come to me and you say, I'm unhappy, sign the paper, you're divorced. It's not that complicated. Culture has made it complicated, because patriarchal culture serves men being superiors, controlling you, telling you to cover yourselves, but not focusing on lowering your gaze. Okay, I'm a Muslim woman, fine. It says that women should dress modestly. When I dress modestly and I go out, I still get the stares, I still get the remarks. Why do we make it about a woman? Why don't we talk up to the men and tell them to lower their gaze? But because women have been brought up with the same conditioning and mindset, they buy into the patriarchal culture. Is it the same way at that end? Are women also siding, or are women aware and they just suck it up because they don't know anything better, or they're not empowered?
No, it is very much that they're not empowered, and it's something that's gone on for years. So because it's gone
Mm,
on for so long, it's only when someone actually questions it. But the Egyptian women here, they all like to talk together. So because they've all got the same thing in common, they think, oh, because all of us are going through it, it's normal. It's weird for someone to actually
right.
question it. Most of the women here, they don't see their
Mm,
worth because they were never brought up like that,
mm,
you know? And this is the really
mm,
sad thing about it, that they were never brought up to see that. There was something else and I've
mm.
gone, I can't think what I was going to say.
Somebody
Um,
saying, somebody saying it's more about the culture than the religion. Absolutely, it is. Something could be halal, but men will make it haram just because of the culture and their ego. Yes, yes. Culture is heavily
yeah,
influenced, and religion is manipulated into the culture, twisted into the culture, and put on you, projected on you. Oh, this is in the faith, but it was not in the faith actually. I
yeah,
just found out it was never in the faith. It was in the culture. And
definitely.
even
And
this
I
is,
think a lot
it's
more
really
women as
interesting.
well. Sorry,
Sorry,
carry
go
on.
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
No, I think a lot more women, especially now in Egypt, they're really taking a stand that they're not gonna keep putting up with this. And because it's becoming more and more often now that women are getting divorced. And
Oh,
that
okay.
was never like that was never a thing here in Egypt, never. But
Mm,
because there seems to be more and more, and I really feel like a lot more Egyptian women really need to be inspired. They know deep down in themselves that I do deserve more than that. They do know that, but it's like
absolutely.
they need to be inspired by someone. They need a
Mm.
kickstart. And once they've got that kickstart, that's it. And once they know that other women have done it, they'll do it.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, because I went through this whole phase, and people can agree to disagree, because I know there are a lot of Muslim people listening in my space, and they'll have their own opinions, and I respect everyone. But I think I went through that heavy stage of dismantling my belief structure, because I was living in Pakistan and then I moved to US. And when I moved to US,
Ah,
I was
big
exposed to
difference.
not just culturally, so forget about the culture and everything. Living, because I visited USA but I never lived there, so I lived there 7 years without visiting my country, so no contact with my country in that way. uh, and then I met people of faith. I met people from different backgrounds who were Muslims and they had different beliefs. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's not how I was raised. Islam taught me this, but it's teaching her something opposite. She must be wrong. She must be learning the wrong faith. So I went through that transition of really finding, and it's a learning journey, that most of my religion was not my religion. It was my culture. It was heavy culture influenced by using religion, you see. It's really interesting because they always talk, oh, men are superior, men are above women, blah, blah, blah. Uh, okay, God put heaven under the feet of women. That's where our worth. See, that's where Muslim women need to see. That's where the worth comes in from. There is no story in Islam that doesn't show that a man had a wife, a woman standing next to her in their prophethood. That's the story that they don't want us to talk about. They don't want these kind of stories to surface, because now women are going to get empowered, right? Okay, so now I have a say in faith. Women back in the days were going in the army. Women back in the days were working, but now certainly, what kind of Islam are you teaching me, right? Where is that coming from? So it was really, really insightful. It was really hurtful, I would say, because it was a wake up call that I've been living with a faith which wasn't really, I mean, 20%, 25% of it was, but most of it was just culture. And people, trust me, I know people will never understand it, especially those people who have never stepped outside Pakistan. I believe that for so many years in America, living there, that they're wrong, only what I've been taught is right. And it took a lot of exposure and meeting people, mingling with different people to learn. Because you see, you telling me God is loving, God is merciful, everybody is equal in front of God, black, white, whatever, but men are superior than women somehow. Like, in God's eye, we're probably all equal. Man might have been put above women, but that doesn't give him that uh head start that he can abuse and torture you, and you just have to go through that because of so-called faith.
1000% agree with you, 1000%.
so
I
so
think
so
it's, go on.
yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's really nice that you've experienced another way of living. And I think that's the major problem here as well in Egypt, because so many people have not left this country and it's
Mm,
so hard for them to understand what life is like. And it's the same for me coming from the UK and living here in Egypt. It's so different in every single
right.
which way. But it's also choosing, well, how do I want to approach that? Like for me, when I was in the UK, the way that Islam is, how can I say, there's
So you
just so
were
much
exposed
negative.
in UK with Islam before you moved, right?
Yeah, quite a lot of my friends are actually from Pakistan in the UK.
Okay,
So
okay.
I was exposed to it, but because of all the negative press and everything that's in the UK, everything's
Mm,
all about ISIS and things like that. I had quite a negative view on Islam. And I also saw it that the woman just stay at home, cook, clean, and look after the house and pray 5 times a day. That was basically what I saw Islam to be, because that's what you see on the front of it. You don't see anything
mm,
else, and that women have to
absolutely.
cover.
Mm,
And I always believed that it was something that the men forced the women to do as an
mm.
outsider. It was only when I actually came to Egypt that I actually fell in love with Islam itself, because the good people, the good people are good people because of Islam.
Mm,
And it's the
absolutely.
teachings in Islam in so many ways. Like, I absolutely love Ramadan here as example, because even if
Mm,
there's a guy on the street that's just cleaning the street, and he's cleaning the street at iftar time, like someone would just come out of their house and just give him a plate of food. you know
mm,
Whenever you've got poor people outside, if they need anything, everyone's just giving money to everyone, and they have this belief that if I give this money, the money will come back. So it's just like really small little things, but it really makes the Egyptians who they are. And that's also why I fell in love with Islam as well. And I think this is the thing, not everyone sees, especially if you're in a Western country, you don't see the goodness of Islam. And that's one of the good things by coming to a Middle Eastern country, that you see it.
Yeah,
Because when you're surrounded
absolutely.
by it, it's completely different. Completely
It
different.
is. Yes. I know when I started my podcast and I would reach out to people and say, hey, and they're like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Pakistan. And the first question was, oh, do you wear burqas there? And I was like,
Yeah,
no, why don't I do a like live stream with you and show you my families? It's not like that. It's more in the small villages and stuff. It's very diverse. It's
exactly.
very open,
Yeah,
and it's not like you see on social media. Even when I moved to USA, I would make friends, and they're like, "Oh, you must be enjoying the freedom." And I was like, yeah, I had the same freedom in my country. And they're like, really? You were allowed to dress like this? And I was like, yeah, maybe I could take off a few more layers there.
yeah,
And they were like, oh, wow, but no burqas there. And I said, no. I said,
yeah.
you know my faith through social media. Meet a real person.
Exactly.
Meet
Exactly.
and ask me, because I could see from their looks that they thought I was pretending and I was
Yeah,
making that up, and they were like thinking that I'm living this USA life and it's so perfect and it's so good. No, you need to burst your bubble, and actually, if you have reservations, come visit, see. It's a beautiful place. We are very beautiful, loving people. Yes, we have a lot of cultural patriarchal stuff over here which influences a lot of the negativity, but it's an amazing place to be. And people would come to my home. This is really funny. So we would have the plumber come in, or we would have, some breakdown in the apartment, and somebody had to come and fix it. So every time somebody would come in, now this is something my faith had taught me. This is something my parents had instilled because of faith in me, that anybody who comes to your house should not leave without eating. It is as if they're leaving from a graveyard. Okay. So the plumber would kind of say, would you like some coffee? Would you like some bagel? Would you like some muffin? And they would be like, no, no, no. So I'm living there for like 2, 3 years. And then the guys are, the same guys, you see them most of the time. And they're like, they finally said, you're so nice. You're the only person in the whole complex who would actually say that. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I said, you know why I say that? Because I'm a Muslim, and this is what my faith teaches me. And because I really wanted people to see that what Islam really is. And it's about taking care of your people, it's about taking care of your neighbors, it's being nice to people. And then that they say, oh, that's so nice. I'm really hungry today. Can I have that muffin? So I was like, go ahead, have as many muffins you want, have a coffee. You come, you do my work,
yeah,
and I appreciate you for that. So if you have a coffee muffin, sure, go ahead. So I always made it a point when I would interact with foreigners or people of different faith, when they appreciated me about something regarding my faith, which they didn't know of, I would tell them, I'm doing this because my faith has taught me. So they would see that Islam is what really and truly Islam is about. So I really do encourage people, like you said, to like not look at social media. I thought USA was all about Hollywood. It wasn't. It's far better than Hollywood. Other amazing people there. So don't, like, just we started. We talked about it. Don't make assumptions because you see
definitely.
something. Go experience it
Definitely.
yourself, and then come to your conclusion if you have to.
Definitely. Like I remember I used to work in hotels here doing all the customer service, and the hotel that I was working in was mainly British. And some of the guests would come up to me and say, "Are you living here?" I said, "Yeah." "Why are you not covering your hair?" I said, "Because I'm allowed to." "Yeah, but you're in a Muslim country." It is a
Uh,
predominantly Muslim country, but there are Christians
yeah,
here. And then they'd
yeah.
say to me, why is there no bacon in the hotel? It's a British hotel. And I said, yeah, it's a British hotel, but it's run by Egyptian management who are Muslim. And I said, I'm telling you now, none of the chefs who are Muslim will touch pork because that's part of their religion. So just because it's a British hotel, do not assume that what happens in the UK is brought over here. It's a completely different subject. And
Right,
I'd
right,
actually say, when you go and have a drink at the bar, speak to the staff because you'll actually learn a lot. And some of the kids,
right.
they used to come over because they used to have it, Egypt as their school, like their school homework or their school projects. So I
Okay.
actually used to have staff members that were actually really good and understanding of everything that had gone on here in Egypt and the history and everything. So I'd say, right, get your child to go and speak to this staff round by the pool. And I said, he'll help him with all of his projects. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah.
Eh,
And they
eh,
actually learned so much about it. And I think this is
mm,
the thing. The Egyptians travel so much and they know so much about their country, and we don't. We like us as British, we just learn everything on the surface. And I think
mm,
now the UK is becoming so materialistic as well. Whereas Egypt, it's not. It's really down to the core values and the simple things in life. And I
mm,
think that's also one of the other reasons that I love living here, is because it's all down to that.
mm,
Um, and the other thing that I wanted to say is, I think for foreigners as well, and Egyptians, I think it's really, really important to have an outlet for you to talk with other women about Islam, because a lot of women, should I say, when they move over to Egypt, they solely what's the word, rely on their husband with
mm,
everything. And
mm,
I think it's Islam itself, how you understand Islam and how I understand Islam and how my ex-husband understands Islam, everything's different because everyone
mhm,
reads the Quran in a separate way.
mm,
So
absolutely.
you need to take your own take on it, along
Mm.
with take the opinions of other people and form your own assumption. Don't just rely on, just because he's my husband, he's gonna tell me
He
everything
would tell
that's
the truth
right.
always. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, no, have an outlet. And that's what I'm really privileged on. On Facebook, I'm actually part of a lot of different groups, and I'm an admin of one. It's like a Muslim revert group, and so many foreigners are on it. And so many say, oh, my husband said this and my husband said that. And it actually helps women open their eyes a lot more to know what is actually culture, what is
Mm,
manipulation, and what is Islam.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
really,
And how
really
they're being
important for
abused.
girls to have
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I just think it's really, really important for women to have that outlet. And I think that
Mm.
so many women should search online for different groups, because there are so many different groups out there.
Yes.
And
Yes, they
even
are.
even for me, like, that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start a YouTube channel to mention all of these things, because I just think it's so important. Because you're in a foreign country, you think that you're isolated and you don't have a lot of people to talk to. And it's like, no, there is a whole society of women
Society.
here, a
Yeah.
whole expat community, and you need
They
to
would
speak
love to
out.
meet you. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I do it all the time, and I'm so thankful that I've met some amazing women through the power of Facebook.
Right, right. So, Jay, tell me, now that you're living there, you've been through your personal experience, your journey, any woman right now listening to you who is from Egypt, of course, uh, what message do you, because your experience is especially with the Egyptian culture and how women suffer in that culture, what message specifically, well, for everyone as well, but especially for Egyptian women who right now are in this space listening to you, how will you inspire them and how do you want to empower them?
I would say, no matter what he says, no matter how much he belittles you, no matter how much he tells you that he's going to destroy your life if you leave him, believe that small voice in yourself, that you can do this and you will do this, and there's something amazing waiting for you the other side.
That's
Because the
absolutely
one
true.
thing that stopped me leaving was the unknown of the other side.
Mm,
And because I'm at the other side, I can tell you to your face now that the unknown is an absolutely amazing place.
it
It's
is.
not a place to be scared of, it's a
Yes.
place to feel
That's where the
empowered.
magic is. That's where the magic is
Exactly.
created. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I think this disempowerment keeps so many women behind, and the fear of what's going to happen, especially because they don't think that they're empowered enough. But as long as you've got the right people in the right places, you will feel
Mm,
more empowered than ever. But it has to start from
yes.
within.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Guys who are listening to me right now, I'm a Muslim woman, and although I had so many Like my story is not like, my culture is not like that, like Egyptian culture. But I know that that's one of the things I did when I was in USA was, you know what? I didn't know anything. And all I did was I put my faith in God and I said, hey, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm literally going to step in fire and hope that you will save me from burning.
Yep.
And guess what? I did burn. I did get a lot of bruises on the way, but I didn't burn out. I'm still here. And it's been amazing. I stepped into the unknown for myself. Although it was my country, my culture, my people, it was still like stepping in the unknown with two kids and not having clue about anything, having no money on me, and just coming here. But it's been phenomenal and it's been so empowering that you can grow from nothing into something so massive. It's just sometimes that we have to really step in the fear, and that's where all the magic. I know it's really hard sometimes. Some women are listening saying, no, I don't know, I can't do this. You can do this. You maybe you need more time. Take all the time you need, but you absolutely can do this. If you're not happy, remember somebody told me this, and they said, Mevish, happy mother equals to happy children. So if you want your kids to be happy, you have to be happy first. So just take this today, that if you want your kids to be happy, if you want them to have a better, brighter future, just believe in yourself, and don't let fear stop you from doing the right thing for yourself. Jade, thank you so much for coming forward, sharing your story. It was absolutely amazing. I remember I told you I don't want to listen to it. I don't. I want to listen to all of it on the live stream. So it was really nice. Love to be connected with you. For viewers who want to know you, who want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was really, really nice to meet you, honestly. And I think the topics that we've covered are really, really important. So thank you. If you want to access me, I am on Instagram at Jade Louise Tibbles, or you can add me on Facebook at Jade Tibbles as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, guys. I will, like always, I will be tagging her after I post the podcast, and you can connect with her through that. I already did that before as well. Do connect with her, do reach out to her, do check out her page. She's amazing. She's doing some amazing work. You both are amazing. So much love to you both. So much love to you as well.
Oh, thank
Take good
you.
take good care of yourself, Jay. Take good care, everyone.
And
We are
you.
out. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.